Okay, let's get right into it. Today, we're not going to try and tackle the entire massive EU AI Act. Nope. Instead, we're going to zoom way in on one single, critical article that actually sparked a 2-year fight in Brussels. This whole deep dive is inspired by some fantastic work from Professor Vihar Kiskinov, and it shows how one seemingly simple rule can shape the entire system for making AI trustworthy. So, here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about the big problem. How do you make sure powerful AI is actually safe? Then, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the rule itself, Article 35. After that, we'll unpack the huge debate it caused, see which side won, and finally, connect the dots on why this tiny detail is a really big deal for all of us. All right, first things first, the EU knew it needed a system to check on high-risk AI. We're talking about the serious stuff. AI used in medicine, in policing, or in our power grids. You can't just let that stuff out into the world without being sure it's safe. And that really is the central question of this whole thing, isn't it? With AI becoming so powerful, how do we actually make sure it's not going to cause harm? You can't just take a company's word for it. You need an independent, credible system to check for things like bias or major errors. So who are the referees in this high-stakes game? Well, they're called notified bodies. Just think of them as the official, independent referees of the AI market. These are organizations that get the green light from EU countries to be the guardians of the rules. Their whole job is to put high-risk AI systems through their paces and certify that they meet all the EU's tough requirements on safety, reliability, and our fundamental rights. And that brings us to the star of our show today. Okay, so you've got these guardians, but how do you organize them? How does anyone keep track of who's who? The answer lies in one short, simple piece of law, Article 35. Now, take a look at this. The final version seems incredibly simple, right? It really only does 2 things. Number 1, give every single notified body one unique ID number. Number 2, make the EU Commission keep one single public list of all of them. Easy, but that simplicity hides a pretty dramatic story. Because believe it or not, getting to that simple, clean text took 2 full years of intense debate and political maneuvering between the EU's heavy hitters, the Commission, the Council, and the Parliament. And you can really see the legislative tug-of-war here. It starts in 2021. Everything seems fine. The Council agrees with the first draft, but then bam, mid-2023, the European Parliament jumps in and says, hang on, we want to change this. The Council digs in its heels and pushes back. But the Parliament doesn't give up. They double down. It took until May of 2024 to finally sort it out. So what on earth were they fighting about? It all came down to this tiny but absolutely critical difference in the wording. The Council's original idea was for a list of bodies designated specifically under the AI Act. The Parliament, though, wanted to get rid of those 4 little words. Now, this might look like legal hair splitting, but it actually represented 2 completely different visions for how to regulate things in the EU. So here's the core disagreement in a nutshell. Should you create a special, separate list just for AI assessors, or should you plug them into one single, unified system that covers all regulated products in the EU? It's basically a choice between creating something brand new for AI or going for total administrative simplicity. So, who won? Well, the Parliament's vision for harmonization won the day. After that 2-year back and forth, the final law reflects their push for a single, unified system. And this victory, which seems small, has a really simple and incredibly powerful result. The final result can be summed up with this one number, 1. One single ID number for each notified body, and one single, unified public list where you can find all of them. In the end, simplicity and consistency won out. And the practical benefits here are pretty huge. This approach just slashes bureaucracy. It makes everything way clearer, both for the AI companies looking for an assessor and for the authorities who need to supervise them. Ultimately, it means less confusion, simpler market access, and a more consistent approach across the entire EU. No more messy patchwork of different lists. Okay, so let's bring this all home. Why should any of us care about this super specific legislative fight? Because the outcome has a direct impact on whether we can actually trust the entire AI Act to do its job. It all comes down to transparency. And you can see how this benefits everybody. For AI providers, it's a clear, simple way to find the referees they need. For governments, it's a one-stop shop to keep an eye on things. And for us, the public, it means we get total transparency.
We can all go to one place and see exactly who is responsible for making sure the most powerful AI is safe.
And at the end of the day, that's the whole point. A public, unified list isn't just a boring administrative detail. It's a cornerstone of public trust. It's the mechanism that makes the promise of safe, ethical AI visible and accountable to every single one of us. Without it, having confidence in the system would be a whole lot harder.
So, the battle for Article 35 is over. The rulebook for AI's guardians has been written, and it's built on a foundation of clarity and transparency. But this leaves us with one final, massive question. Now that we have the rules for the guardians, is the real challenge making sure they can actually keep up with a technology that is evolving at lightning speed?